segue into Halo Infinite then. So it comes out December 8th. So we just kind of touched on it. So how you are you looking? I'm assuming I know you're looking forward to it, but do you think it's going to be? I guess my question for you would be, they're doing the whole open world thing now, where they're going to make it. You're in an open world, and I'm assuming you go to like the main mission points, kind of like on Destiny, where you have to go to a certain spot to activate the mission, right? So that's probably like your main story missions, and then they're also going to have like side activities for you to do. I guess I'll start off on it, and then it'd be easier to kind of give you my thoughts than trying to explain exactly what I'm asking. But like, so here's my thing with Halo. I think that 343 is trying to make the best game that they possibly can, because I think that Microsoft and 343 realize that like they have to make a good Halo game for everyone, like the hardcore competitive guys and the casual fans and the guys who love the campaign. Like, I think they're trying to make a good, solid product. The only thing that worries me is the fact, I think that them going with that open world concept, or that open area concept, however it ends up being, I think it's a good move. I think it's a natural progression of technology and progression of gaming, right? The only thing that does worry me, though, is that the one thing I have noticed, man, about these open world games, whether they're first person shooters, third person adventure, whatever they are, with the exception of a few, like The Witcher, for example, it seems like the Assassin's Creed are kind of, you can put them into this category, sort of, in my opinion. It seems like the bigger the world you try to make, the more side content you try to make. I guess what I'm saying is, I kind of worry that they're not going to have. Is that going to take away from the main campaign? Is that going to take away from the real reason I'm there? Like, is the story going to suffer? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of stuff does worry me a little bit. Because you have so much more you're focusing on that you're not narrowing down. Like traditional Halo games are mission based, level to level, so they can make these badass missions where you can run around and you have the mission based. This is, you can have a whole world, a whole area to explore along with side content, and then also your main missions.
To an extent. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that like the reason that I'm more excited for Halo than I am for Battlefield is because I get to play Halo on Game Pass, and I'm on PC, so that costs me $5.
Yeah, that's nice.
Five Washingtons is all I have to pay to play Halo. Whereas fucking Battlefield's asking me $60 goddamn dollars to play a game I don't know dick about. So
I think it's a good move by Halo to do that. I think that makes sense for them to do that.
And I mean, their multiplayer being free to play is fucking insanely good move. Like, and then they're doing the battle pass thing that like battle royales are doing. That's smart as a motherfucker.
Well, in their battle,
a real good play.
And the battle passes aren't timed. So like most battle passes, they have time, so you're like, oh, I got to get on and play today, because they're basically making you get on to play if you want that shit. Halo's like, nah, fuck that. We're just gonna leave it in there. Whenever you get it, you'll get it.
Well, the thing is, though, that's smart because they can once a battle pass times out, it's gone.
Yes.
With this, it's like, you want to buy all of them, but you missed the boat? Fuck it. Drop $60 and buy all 5 of the ones previously, plus the current.
Oh, well, it's not even buying. Like, Battle Pass is also unlocking. Like, some stuff you have to buy, but there's also those ones. That's how they get you. It's like Warzone, you can have the Battle Pass, right? And if you bought the Battle Pass, you just played to get your points to unlock each thing. And then they'd also have stuff you can buy on top of that. But when that battle pass times out, if you haven't been on, it's a way for them to get you to play every day. It's like a grind, like an MMO grind, right? So it gives you more incentive for you to log back on that damn game every day to get your damn points, so you can make sure you get all the stuff that you already paid, for the new battle pass. You want to make sure you can get everything. So,
well, the thing that'll draw me into that will be it's gonna have more content. And I do like the multiplayer, but I'm not a PvP guy, so like I will burn out on PvP before I will burn out on most other stuff. So, like to the open world question you asked earlier. Okay, so like I could see your point, and I could see it being, but also at the same time, like open world games. Look at the first Red Dead Redemption. I don't use the second one because it was a bloated mess, and I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
But the first one did a really good job, in my opinion, for the time it came out, having like random world events. Like you would just, and it made the world feel more alive. Same thing with The Witcher. Like you just be walking along a road, and then like there's some lady.
Yeah, there's definitely exceptions for sure. I'm just worried since 343 hasn't done it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just different. and like I think they're going to pull it off. I really do, but I do have some. I just just speculation, just a little bit of worry that like I just hope it doesn't. I hope they do it right, if that makes any kind of sense.
Well, it couldn't possibly be any worse than ODST. So
you didn't like ODST?
I like the idea of ODST. It just didn't quite
Didn't
come to. I mean, they added Firefight, which was really cool, and I liked the whole like quote unquote open world that was in ODST. We were like exploring the city and everything.
Yeah, the area.
That was really cool, but it felt fucking empty. Like there was,
Yeah.
it just felt like there wasn't anything in there, and I felt like it was filler content. So
I don't think they had the technology either to pull that off at the time. Honestly, with that engine.
It was a little over ambitious, I think. Probably would have made a good DLC, but not a good standalone game. But
which the game was cheaper than it was only $30, right? Brand new, wasn't it?
I think it was 40.
Oh, 40. Okay.
I still, even at 40, was a little bit. I don't know. I played Firefight a little bit, but I liked. Anyway, I digress. Now the open world thing doesn't really bother me too much. I'll wait and see on that. Basically, what it boils down to is like. Now, if you were sitting here asking me if I was going to pay $60, like if I had enough confidence that it was going to be a good campaign to pay $60, hell fucking no. There ain't no damn way. Because again, 343 hasn't had any absolute dog shit games about like DICE, but they have had enough games that were rocky that they ain't getting $60 out of me for a game that first comes out. So like, and I think honestly, I'm
in a weird, like it's, for some reason, man, I don't know why. But I just really want this game to be good. I want a good Halo game. I really do, man. Like, and it's not even about like money for me or anything. Like, it's more about like the legacy of it. Like, I need this game to be, like, I want it to be good. I want it to do well, and I just hope that it does, because I hope that it delivers what I want, because it's Halo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just hope they can bring it back. Like, like a fucking phoenix out of the ashes. Like, they've kind of burned it down a little bit. I just need them to bring it back, to maybe not to what it once was, obviously. Maybe not that popular anymore, which Halo's still fucking really popular, man. Like, if somebody makes a Halo video, they get, like, people are always interested in Halo shit. I just hope they do the story and shit right, because I really think there's a lot of potential. Like, look, like we were talking about Reach earlier, for example. Prime example of that game, Reach. Some people didn't like it. They didn't like the weapon bloom and some of the mechanics, but I don't know many people that didn't like the fucking story, dude. Like that, like you were saying, fucking fantastic. It's like, that's what I want. I want something on that level again. That was the last Halo I played where I was like, I love this fucking campaign. I love it. And I played it multiple times. I even beat it on Legendary. Like, that's the kind of campaign that I want. And I guess what I'm saying is I kind of worry that with them trying this new thing, which I think makes sense, I just hope it doesn't let the main campaign and story suffer. That's what I don't want to happen.
Did people really bitch about weapon bloom on fucking Halo?
Competitive guys, people still do. Like real super competitive players and stuff like that. Your pros and shit. They didn't like the weapon bloom and Reach
because it makes it what?
Harder to hit targets, I guess. I don't know.
Like the assault rifle always had weapon bloom.
Well, it didn't show like a reticle, but yeah, it sprayed all over the place. When you held it down.
All right, fucking smooth brains. That's a goddamn smooth brain complaint. I don't like fucking weapon bloom. Like, Jesus Christ, it had a fucking phenomenal. Like, oh my lord, of all the reasons to shit. Yeah. Oh, whatever. Like, maybe the PvP wasn't. I don't know. I'm not a PvP guy, so I can't comment.
No, the PvP was still great. I fucking loved it. That was the first one you could like really really had cool customizable armor. That was some of my favorite armor sets were in Reach. My favorite ones. They just felt so unique. They just felt truly unique.
Halo as a hyper competitive game feels fucking weird to me, because like, we always just played the multiplayer to have fun, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, which it is, though. It's an arena shooter. There's a very dedicated... I mean, they still do pro leagues and shit. Like, it's still MLG leagues and shit for Halo, for sure.
That's just such a weird concept to me, because, like, that was never what I fucked with on there, which is not my cup of tea. I don't give a shit, man. I'm just playing to have fun. I don't give a fuck if I'm...
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, that campaign... Like that campaign like we were talking about, I think everyone pretty much could agree, like, that was a badass fucking story and like... That's what I want out of Infinite,
Do
man.
you want to know why it was fucking good? Like, you want to know the secret that nobody fucking wants to admit about Halo, but it's the honest to God fucking truth, and I don't know why Halo fans have such a fucking hard time admitting this. It's because it wasn't fucking based around Halo Chief. Or a Master Chief, my bad.
Yeah.
No Master Chief. It was just a new story, totally
it was
new,
fresh.
totally separate, because, like, the Halo Master Chief franchise, it's like Master Chief is, like, the poster child for Halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we need to stop with the playable Master Chief games. Like, the thing is, like, we saw the Master Chief saga for the most part play out. Like, it pretty much, you know, I feel like Halo 4 we're just kind of reaching for shit to stick in there, and then Halo 5, I gather that they had a new playable character, but it was still
the
centered
problem with
around.
5 was it was bouncing between Chief Squad and the new Spartan Squad. It was just. It wasn't. I think it's not as bad as people wanted it to be. I think, or they want to pretend like it was. But the story was definitely not as good. It was kind of all over the place. It was a short campaign too. But I know what you're saying. And my thing is like, look, I don't mind if they want to keep making games about Master Chief. I don't mind. But like every now and then, put one in there like Reach. Tell a story about a Spartan squad. Tell a story about an OTST squad. There's a lot you can fucking do with it, man. You know, there really is.
Being honest, man, I'm done. If they I'm not fucking with the campaign. If they got Master Chief again, it's like I've had it with that shit. You have milked that fucking cow for all. We get it. His story arc is fucking complete. For God's sake, he didn't have that much depth as a character to begin with. He's just a cool Spartan that doesn't really talk a whole lot. That was his whole fucking shtick. And I'll tell you what this motherfucking shit is. I'm gonna tell you what this is. This is the Darth Vader syndrome. Darth Vader in the original trilogy was fucking amazing as a villain. A fucking amazing villain. Darth Vader's origin story in the prequels, not so much when you realize why the fuck he turned evil, and you're like, wow, this really hurt this character. Like, this used to be a much cooler character than Anakin's a fucking whiny little wanker, and then he's like, his reason for turning to the dark side was fucking derpy at best. At best, it was fucking derpy. So Anakin's version of Darth Vader isn't nearly as badass as fucking Mufasa and his Luke, I am your father. Like, it's just, it ain't really the same. I don't know. Same thing with Master Chief. Master Chief is one of those characters where less is more. Like, you don't need to know a big shitload of him. Like if you keep trying to milk shit out of him, it's just going to cheapen the character. For the love of God, I'm not saying don't have him in a Halo game, but don't make him the playable character. Like, he can be, like, in your squad, or he's, like, squad leader. Kind of like, prime fucking example, Captain Price from fucking Call of Duty. Captain Price was, like, the guy. In this new Call of Duty, he's, like, the guy that's, like, leading your squad around, and like he's like, all right, through the door, flashbang through the door. Like,
that'd be a cool concept. Have a game where he's leading the squad and you're another squad.
You're a member. You're Noble 6, right? So you're just the new recruit, right? You're the new guy in Master Chief's squad.
Pretty cool.
Why the fuck is that not a thing? Like, I'm tired of playing as Master Chief. God damn it!
I think the problem is, here's the issue. After 3, they did Reach, and then they did 4. And this is 343. That's where 343 came in, was Halo 4. And, with the whole Cortana thing and the Prometheans. And I guess they had this vision for 3 games probably to play out. And I think what they need is they ended it one time. Bungie ended it. Master Chief's journey, essentially. But since 343 got it, nostalgia and money and whatever else, they decided to go on 4 with continue his story. Which is what they're doing. Like, it's what 5 has been about, what this has been about. I think what we need is a game that it can end on again. And then move on, right? Because if it ends the way it ends now, with, like, trust me, you don't want 5 to be the ending. You don't. But, at least as a fan, like, 'cause I've played all of them, I definitely don't want 5 to be the end. Because 4 was okay. 4 was like, oh, this is cool, whatever, this is okay. But 5, I just like, no, please don't end it here, because it's just, you can't end it anyway because how the story ends. But anyways, my point is, I feel like they messed up I understand the want to and the need, and a lot of people want to see Chief and play as Chief and all that. Like, I get it, nostalgia factor. So I understand that want to do that. But I think that they messed up when they resurrected. They should have, like you're saying, I think they should have kept going with the idea, like, they should have just ended it at 3 with him, He got a send off at 3. They could have ended it there. And then if he does come back into the story, like you're saying, that would have been a really good idea. Like, maybe now this is about the next generation. That's kind of what they were going with 5, right? 5 was this weird, like, old school versus new school, new Spartan versus old school squad Spartan. It was this weird kind of thing. It was, I don't know, you have to play a story to really understand, but it was just weird. I feel like that's what they were going for, was trying to, like, I feel like they maybe were trying to give him that final send off, like that's where these games have been leading, to like really putting his character completely to rest in their own way. And I think 5, they just kind of sort of effed it up in my opinion, with the story. It was just a weird, like I said, it's a really weird story, but it just didn't feel right. But they did. I mean, that's what you did in 5. You played as the Chief Squad, which was the old school Spartans, and then you played as Lock Squad, which is the new school Spartans. So sort of the kind of same kind of thing you're talking about, but not the same kind of thing. Because, like, as the new squad, Chief was like a renegade because he had Cortana, and, like, people, the UNSC was looking for him. He wouldn't contact them. So you were tasked with, like, finding him and, bringing him in, like you're fucking going to bring Chief in. But anyway, so that it was a weird kind of thing they had going on. So it made you jump a lot between the two. Like half of the missions were Chief, half the missions were Lock. You were constantly going in between the two. And I see what they were trying to do from like a story perspective, trying to give you different perspectives, different stories, how things, everything, different perspectives of the same story, essentially. Which is kind of a cool concept, I guess, but it just wasn't, it didn't land well. But like what you're saying, I think that'd be a great way that you could keep him in the series, have him show up every now and then in a game, doing something fucking badass that we would remember from like Halo 2 or some shit, and be like, holy fuck, it's Chief, but you're playing as somebody else. I think that's a really cool concept. And I think that eventually they're going to have to do that. I mean, I hate to say they'll keep beating that dead horse, because for money, people will do a lot of things, but I hope they don't keep beating. Like, I hope, that's what my hope is. I hope Infinite ends it. I hope Infinite's like, Chief and Cortana's story will be complete. It'll be over. Like, that's what I'm a hope. And it'll be a good, solid ending that everyone's like, I'm good with this. And then we can move on. We can do ODSTs, we can do new Spartans, we can do all kinds of shit. But I like that concept you're talking about, where you can like bring in, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be fucking cool as shit, dude. Being a Spartan, like number 6, right? And you go in there, it's like, holy shit, Chief Squad Leader. Like, that's a neat concept. You can keep him involved in the series indirectly.
I mean, that really honestly was, honest to God, that is where I thought 4 was going to be. Whenever I heard that they were still going to have Master Chief in there, I was like, well, that's about the only logical thing to do, right? Like, surely they won't be like, oh, you're playing as Master Chief still, because, like, that's Bungie's character. I'm sorry. Master Chief is Bungie's fucking character. I don't give a shit what anybody... Like, I get that they didn't write the stories and all this shit, but they brought it to life. Like, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. That's Bungie. I will always associate Master
Bungie
Chief
sold it to 343.
With Bungie.
Or Xbox bought it from them.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, like, I'm not saying the intellectual property belongs to Bungie. Gotcha. I'm saying, like, they're the ones that brought it to life. My memories of Master Chief and Halo and that whole franchise was cemented and brought to life
by Bungie. Yeah.
By Bungie. It didn't have like Microsoft. Yeah, they funded it and all that, but the team at Bungie is the one that put all that together. And that's when I think of Halo, I see the little Bungie logo pop up. It's got the little. That's just where my mind goes. The problem with that is 343 was never, ever, 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 ever going to stand a snowball's chance in hell of making a Master Chief story that was on par with Bungie's Master Chief. I'm sorry, they weren't. They just weren't gonna fucking do it. Especially just trying to copy and paste the fucking formula where it's just, oh, you play as Master Chief. That's lazy, first of all. Second of all, they already had Spartan Ops in Halo 4, which you played as a new Spartan anyway. And the reason that Halo fans liked Halo Reach's story so much was it was a departure from the regular, like, you go the finality in 3. Reach didn't fuck up the finality. It existed in a story that already existed in Master Chief's universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it even made a little mention of Master Chief and Cortana right there at the end with the.
Yeah, he was on the Pillar of Autumn whenever they left. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
where
like
he woke up in. It's a prelude to the game.
In your mind, you're like, oh, okay, so this is the part that I played in all of these events.
Yeah,
so
this is how Chief got Cortana.
Yeah, it's like I started everything that led to Halo 1, 2, and 3. It's like, hey, my character, my Noble 6, my guy that I put together with all my armor and like my look and my character played a role in the Halo universe. It made you feel like you had a place in that universe. They could have done that with 4 by doing the Master Chief being a squad leader, or just having him be, you just randomly bump into him. And
yeah,
just,
maybe
like,
you find him, because at the end of 3 you think he's dead. You know, because
Yeah,
at
like
4 he wakes up. It shows where he wakes up at. Well, instead of making the game where like they pick it up from there, maybe maybe you're the one who finds him, and you could do like the same sort of Cortana story. You could do it where like Cortana runs rampant and all this shit, and she goes through, you know, kind of turns bad, but you could have done it through another Spartan helping Chief. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the story of 4 and 5 wasn't the problem. The execution was the problem.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to incorporate Master Chief, I'm not saying leave him out altogether. I'm saying stop trying to make him the main character, because like, it's just not a good idea. It's not. How in the fuck are you going to move this franchise forward? Are we just going to prop him up like Weekend at Bernie's and just be like, all right, this motherfucker is the main character forever? It's like, they should have been working towards building a future story that incorporates Master Chief, but in like more of a pay homage kind of thing, not like we're just gonna keep fucking playing Master Chief the whole time. And the whole bringing him in to the UNSC, that actually could have been a story. Been like, well, we think he might have gone ape shit and gone rogue, so like, you guys need to go find him and figure out. But then when you get there, obviously you don't need to be trying to fist fight this guy, because he's a larger than life character. Your fans are, no matter how that plays out, if you play as this character, Locke or whatever the fuck his name was, this whole time, and then he wins against the fight against Chief, they're gonna be like, well, wow, they just shit on Master Chief. That's bullshit. But then if Master Chief fucks you up, you're like, why am I playing as this guy if the fucking I'm just gonna get my. You should never have a fight where you're fighting Master Chief. You're literally fighting your childhood memories. That's fucking stupid.
Here's, I think, where they went wrong with 5. This is where I think they went wrong with 5. Me personally, what they should have done with 5, they could have kept the same concept, right? The same, because the concept's kind of cool. It's different, but they should have just done it from Locke's perspective. Period. And it should have been a big reveal when you found out, oh shit, Cortana's done what? It should have been a big fucking shocker. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then if you want to do another game with Chief, it could be the one they're doing now where he's going to save Cortana, right? Like, but that whole middle game, that 5, that could have been done from a totally different perspective. Just one person's perspective. And the whole time you're chasing, you're like, it's being like you're. The problem is they jumped. So in one sense, you knew Chief wasn't doing anything wrong. You knew what he was doing was what he had to do. Then you got swapped back over to the other people. And then from their perspective, he's not listening. He's not doing the right thing. He's turning bad or whatever. We have to go get him. It would have been more emotionally better story driven if it would have just been from the perspective of like, holy, and then throughout the campaign, you start thinking, fuck, is Chief really, like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? You know, the whole time you would have been wondering. You'd be like, I got to get to the end. I got to find out what the fuck's going on, right? Are they really going to make Chief a bad guy? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then you have like a big reveal. Finally, you catch up to him. And then story-wise, they play the same kind of thing. And then you learn the truth and what's really going on. You know, to me, that has more weight. That carries much more weight. At least in my mind, like if I was playing it, I feel like I would like that more. I really feel like I would like that more. Because I would be more invested emotionally. Like if you're playing both sides, you already know what the fuck's going to happen. Like you know what's going on both sides.
It's like kind of like murder mystery movies that just show you who the murderer is right off the fucking
time.
And it's like you have to wait for all the characters to figure out what you already know.
Exactly.
And it's not very engaging.
Exactly. And I think if they'd have done it the way that I said, something like that along those lines, it would have been definitely. I think it would have been received a lot better. Honestly, I think.
Is
personally.
Master Chief the main character in the campaign of the new game?
Infinite? Yeah.
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 Oh, for fuck's sake.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping. What I think is that this is it. I think that Infinite is going to be kind of like I don't know this for sure. I'm just guessing. This is 100% guess by me. But there was 3 Halo games about Master Chief. 343 got Halo, started Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo 6. Their Master Chief trilogy, right? I think that this is going to be probably the last main Halo game you play strictly as Chief, I would imagine. I hope it is. I hope it ends.
Time and work they put in just to place second in Master Chief stories. It's like, why? Why the fuck was all this time and money wasted? And then their story's still not as good as Bungie's original.
They would have been much better off starting with a new Spartan and doing their own trilogy.
Oh, God, yes.
And then showing Master Chief every now and then or something like that if you want to pay homage to him. I think that would have been a much better progression. Because at least then, lore-wise, you could still learn that he's alive. You could still learn, help him in some way, probably, to accomplish what he's accomplishing right now while you're playing through him, but just not play through him. It could just be done a little
why
differently.
Not just have it to where you're uncovering the same information that he has? So, if Cortana or whatever is going on, you're seeing the same events, but you don't know anything about Master Chief until, your squad's about to get fucked up by a group of aliens or some shit, and then all of a sudden, Master Chief is like, all right, I saved the day, so clearly not a bad guy. Here's what we need to do. You guys go over here and do that. I'm going to be over here doing this, and you just hear him on your intercom while he's telling you that he's doing his shit, while you do your shit. Yeah. And you don't follow him around or you're not playing as him, you're helping him achieve his goals if you want to incorporate Master Chief.
Yeah, it's a mission he obviously can't you can't do alone, right? So you have to be over here doing this, while he's doing this to meet the same end goal. If you want to have him pay homage.
6 fucking games. That is retarded. That is a retarded amount of games to have one goddamn character in. That just doesn't make any fucking sense. It's too much. No character, even one with some actual personality, couldn't carry 6 fucking games. God damn, there ain't that much meat on the bone. He don't say shit. He's got a very limited amount of personality. You get that he is Soldier Boy, humanity first, gotta save the day. That's it. That's pretty much. I'm not trying to be a dick. I love Halo, but Halo 1 through Reach, not so much with 4 and 5. But
I think, and that's the thing. 343, I did an article, and if you Halo 4, they did or have been trying to show more of his less robotic side, right? I think their idea was we're gonna make him lose something that he loves and make him seem more human than what you've seen before, right? Because at the end of the day, there is a man underneath the armor, So at least they have been trying that, because you're saying, the 1 through 3, he's a very, yes sir, and I'm going to go, he's just a badass, right? He's a machine,
well, that's
essentially.
The appeal. That's
the
appeal, that's why he's cool. He is a relic from the era of midnight releases, Xbox 360s, bags of Doritos, and fucking Mountain Dew gamer fuel.
Rockstar energy drinks.
He embodies that era. They don't need anything else. That's it.
Yeah.
He's already. You don't.
They could have let it go.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is just like Darth Vader. Darth Vader is badass because he's got some black armor, a long fucking cape. He's voiced
mysterious.
by fucking James Earl Jones, and he's got a big fuck off red laser sword. That's it. He's scary. He's evil, and he'll fuck your shit up. You don't need to know anything else. I don't need to know that he was a pod racer on some shithole planet in the middle of nowhere. I don't need to know that he turned to the dark side by getting manipulated, and then he threw a tantrum and killed 30 children. It's just that doesn't make him a cooler character. That just makes him look like a whiny bitch. So it's whether or not you humanized Master Chief successfully isn't the issue. The issue is, why the fuck are you even bothering? Why are you bothering? If I remember correctly, the end of 3, they had the little thing where it was they gave him his little send-off, they had his little monument there, his little memorial, and it was Spartans don't die, they're just missing in action.
Yeah.
How is that not the perfect fucking ending.
Oh, it was
Leave
good.
it totally ambiguous. Be like, we don't know. If you want to think Master Chief died, you can think he died. If you want to think he survived, he survived. No, we now have to hear 3 more fucking games about Master Chief when there really wasn't that much meat on the bone to begin with. And I get it. It's like, oh, he lost something he cares about. It's like, it's superficial bullshit. Like, he ain't got like Jin Sakai levels of character. And he ain't got like Kratos levels of character depth. He's never gonna be on that level because it didn't start out having to be. It doesn't have to be. He's kind of like the Mandalorian. It's just like, you don't really need to know that much about him. Or like Boba Fett, you don't need to know that much about him to know that he's badass. Like, that's the appeal. Less is more.
Well, that's why I'm
with this guy.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping that they, you know, because the thing is, like, I mean, there's been more books and stuff about him too. You know, like there's a lot of Halo lore out there. I've read a lot of the books, and like if you want, like, leave them in the books. Tell a story via books or comics. Like that's cool. That's fine. But I'm kind of the same thing as like I think they messed up. I think personally they messed up bringing him back with 4. To me, if you're ever going to have, what they should have done was operated for the next couple games as if he had died, right? Or whatever. And then if you want to bring him back for that nostalgia factor, that's when it's going to hit more. That's when it's going to hit hard. Like, you have to give it some time. You can't just be like, right after Reach, be like, oh, by the way, Master Chief's still alive in Halo 4, which was cool. Everybody's like, oh, he's fucking lives, yay, hooray. But imagine how much more weight that would have carried 10 years from that point. You know, like if you'd have done like 3 more games without him, and then you did a game, like a fucking just badass game of him, like, oh, he's alive, holy shit, you know. And then you could just do that one. You could do the one game, beginning, middle, end, then that's done. Then continue on doing new, more unique stories. And just bring him in every once in a blue moon. You know, he's the kind of character that if you're going to pay homage to him and bring him back, that's to me how you have to do it. He needs to carry weight. And if you make 6, 12, 20 games with him as the main character, he's losing his weight, in my opinion. Because I remember him the same as you as a little kid in high school who fucking watched all the Believe trailers, who fucking couldn't wait to play co-op when 2, 3, and all that shit came out. I played Halo till I couldn't play Halo. I had fucking nightmares about Covenant trying to chase me when I was a kid, playing so much fucking Halo. That's the Chief I remember, right? So for me personally, and I think for you too, because we're of the same age, if we see him come back, I think that's how we probably would have wanted it to be, honestly, even without us realizing it, is that they would have done more games and we'd have went 5, 10 years thinking like, what happened to him, you know? And then all of a sudden they just fucking come out with a game and they just hit you out of nowhere. Shows a trailer, you know, and then it just shows the 117 and then the trailer blacks out. Could you imagine that? The fucking just... You talk about like Halo fanboys and shit going nuts. They would really fucking go nuts for something like that.
I would just have it like in one of the trailers for one of the later games. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Honestly, that is the death of Superman in the cinematic universe. It's like, all right, we killed Superman, and then immediately in the next movie, it's like, I'm just kidding. He's back alive. He's crazy now, but he's back alive. Like, it's too much. Yeah. But no, just have it in the trailer or whatever. Just be like, okay, so you're fighting the Covenant and things look bleak or whatever, and then right at the end of the trailer, it just goes black and it looks like the humans have lost or whatever, and you just hear Master Chief's voice line, Master Chief's voice, like say something right at the end of the trailer, and then pop up with the date for the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that right there, you just generated a fuckload of hype.
Yeah,
for your
especially
next game.
If you had made 2 or 3 games
in the middle.
Like,
I tell you what would have been
with
good.
A full-on new character, develop that character, maybe like a new Spartan with more emotion, have a more, you know, like a more normal human being, right? With their own story, and shit's fucking getting bad, and then all of a sudden, on the next game, they're like, Halo, you could call it Halo Believe, because I remember that Believe word so much from Halo 3. They marketed the shit out of that word. It was believe, believe. You know, you could call it like, as a hint, like Halo Believe or something. Maybe not Believe, but something along those lines to kind of hint towards him. And then, like you said, at the very end of that trailer, his voice comes in, or you see his number or something. And could you imagine, dude, people would be like, holy shit. But the key there is to keep people interested in the franchise through those next couple games, which I think, look, Halo is fun to play. It's like Battlefield. It's a physical sandbox shooter. It's not like Call of Duty or Titanfall or Apex, where it's more, I forget what they call those kind of shooters, but Halo and like Battlefield are more physics-based, and there's not a lot of multiplayer shooters that are physics-based, if you think about it. There's not a lot of games like Halo and Battlefield exactly, you know, that are more physics-based than they are like animational-based, I guess would be the way to put it. But you could definitely keep me, there people are still involved. Even with the fiasco that was 5, like people still want to see play good Halos, you know? So I think that was the way to go story-wise, man, personally. If it would have been
if it were me, I would take the Mass Effect approach. I would make it to where like Mass Effect, if you play all 3 Mass Effect games, the situation is getting progressively worse. Like,
yes.
It's like the first one, you kind of end on a good note, but then it's like, just kidding. Those weren't even the bad guys. Like, the real bad guys are coming. You're like, oh,
they're the ones that the bad guys sent.
Yeah, and so it gets progressively worse, and when you start, it's like Star Trek. There's like, this hope and exploring the galaxy, and it slowly devolves into just a nightmare. Like, by the time the credits roll on Mass Effect 3, there's some bad shit going down. Like, they're harvesting people for, like, genetic material and turning them into abominations, and, like, all that comes from just fighting some scary robots in one, and I don't know, like the sense of like ominous dread that just slowly builds over the course of Mass Effect is exactly what I would have done with Halo. I would have been like, okay, there's a new, hold on. Don't you be making that face when you come in here, all right? Smile when you come in my room, god damn it, all right? It's all good, we're just talking. Anyway, so look. First one, there's a new enemy type. It's stronger than the Covenant, but the new Spartans, it's a new type of Spartan, and they're doing the best they can, but, like, we're just not sure if they've got what it takes to, like, fight the new threat. Mm-hmm. And then the second would be like, all right, these new Spartans, they're doing all right. We're kind of making a little bit of pushback, but then, they bring in some sort of other big enemy that's like, oh, now we don't. And then, like, at the end of 2, I would leave it on a big fucking cliffhanger that really makes it look very, very bleak for humanity. And then when the third game rolls around, I'd bring Master Chief back in as a side character, be like, well, here, and explain what he's been doing and how it ties into what's going on currently with the situation humanity's facing, and have him play some part. I don't know what it would have been in what capacity, but then, like, you could hint at his involvement in the third game, and people be like, oh, well, holy fucking shit, build some hype. But that does 2 things. First of all, it doesn't completely abandon the lore that's already been established. And 2, it builds a new group of Spartans that is your Spartans. That's 343's Spartan group. So the main character of the 343 series is you. You're the main character. You're a new Spartan. You're a new type of Spartan. And you have this in your head. You're like, my Spartan is never going to be able to be as badass as Master Chief. But they slowly, over time, build it. And it's like, actually, you're different, but you can still accomplish. Yeah, you're still pretty badass. Through good leadership and good strategy, you can't just go and punch fucking Covenant out like Master Chief can, but you can still be a badass in your own right. It sends a good message, it establishes a new group of characters, and it doesn't abandon the mythos that's already been established. I don't know why we're just taking the lazy route and just making Master Chief the main character.
That's the easy thing to do is why. And that's my biggest problem with it. I just feel like they're... don't beat the horse, like don't beat the dead horse. Like, at least give that dead horse some time to recuperate and rest, then bring him back. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna perform a lot better.
Dead, he doesn't need to rest. You can't
well, you know what I'm saying. Don't beat by dead. I mean, don't beat a broke down horse, right? Like a tired horse till he's dead. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. But you get what I mean. Like, I feel like if they'd have gave Chief some breathing room, a couple games without him, and let you pondered what the fuck happened to him, and then did a game like, okay, 343, we've done 3 games, we've done our own characters, we've done our own thing. Now let's bring for one game, let's do a game about Chief. Let's make or like you're saying, let's do a game with our character and have Chief be in it. You know what I'm saying? Either one of those. I think your idea is a little. I like your idea a little bit. I like being the idea of like I want to play as my character that I've played with the past 3 years, and I want to fight alongside Chief. I like that idea a lot. But
the third
if
game.
if I did have to play as Chief, I wouldn't be. It would still be fucking exciting, you know, because I hadn't seen him in 10 years.
Well, like if they did it the way I was talking about, by the time the third game rolls around, you would want to be your character because you're like, I have invested 2 games worth of time into this character, and had do like Mass Effect where it carries over, like your story decisions and all that carry over. And it ain't got to be nothing on the par of Mass Effect. It just be little stuff, you know what I mean? Like, did you leave this scientist alive? Did you blow up this base? Stuff like that. Just a couple of little things like that. But that helps establish you as the main character.
Like part of it, yeah.
Then by the time the third game rolls around, I would start it being Mass Effect, or goddamn, I'm getting my wires crossed here. Master Chief comes in and saves you in the beginning, but by the end of the story, I would have it to where Master Chief's about to die and your guy bails him out, and then it's like, oh, looky here, like, you know, we're equals now. So like, I don't know. It's just
biggest story.
I'm just not invested in the new Halo. Like, I don't give a shit.
I hope
I've already seen it.
I hope it's going to be good. I really do. Like I said, like that's why I'm so I have the concerns that I have. I just want. I need them to give me a solid ending to Cortana in his story that I'm okay with. Like, I'll be happy, and then move on for a while. Like, let's do something new. I still want Spartans. I still want all that good shit. You know, hell, even an ODST game. Like, give me new stories. Give me new characters. Give me new, like, that's what I want, you know.
Well, the problem.
Don't give me some weird shit where I'm playing as Locke, who's chasing Chief, and then on the next mission I'm playing as Chief, running from Locke, chasing Cortana. I don't want. I already know what's going to happen. I already know what's happening from both perspectives. Don't show me 2 fucking perspectives. Like, I get that it's a cool idea, but when you try to actually implement it and you're a player playing the game, you already know like you said earlier, like you already know what the fuck's going on. You know, and it's not as...
Why didn't you just have the game be like you play all the way through as Locke, but then when you beat the game, it unlocks a second campaign where you get to play through as Master Chief.
That would have been a better option.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've been talking for 30 minutes. I've spitballed like 4 ideas that have been better than anything that fucking 343 has come out. The problem with Master Chief right now is that this has to be the last game he's in. Like, there's no fucking way they can, and that you can't keep him in your franchise anymore because, like, oh my god, how the fuck could you possibly put this guy back in your franchise after 6 fucking games? How?
I don't understand. I wouldn't know either, honestly, man. The only thing that's keeping him in there right now is the Cortana and Chief story. It hasn't ended yet, and that's what this is. I'm assuming. I hope. Is going to be the end of that. This is gonna, whether she dies or he dies or whatever the fuck happens, I think this is gonna be 343's end to Chief's story and Cortana's story. And I hope that it's a good ending. And I hope it's a good ending. I hope it's a great story. I hope it ends well. I hope it hits me right in the feels and the nostalgia. I hope it activates all those things. And I can put it to bed and I'll be like, okay, let's do it at Reach 2.
We'll have to play through the campaign together because I don't know what the fuck's up in 5, and I'm not gonna play it. So you just have to walk me through.
Basically, I'll tell you the breakdown of it is essentially Cortana was going rampant in 4. You know, because AIs go rampant after so many years, which is basically they start losing the equivalent of insanity to humans.
Gotcha.
Chief was trying to find a way to save her, so they started. Somehow they found out about the Prometheans. Well, not Prometheans. What are they called? Anyway, they end up finding out. Essentially, it's the people who built the rings, right? And the reason the rings were built, as we know, was to decimate the flood, to destroy all organic life, because that's what the flood consumes on to live, because there's no other way to beat the flood. Well, these beings were our forefathers, essentially. Like, they sent out seeds, right? After they shot the thing. Like, in Halo's universe, they seeded our planet. Like, we actually come from them. That's why Chief and humans could operate the technology that the Covenant couldn't. Because we're basically these things' descendants, essentially. Well, there was a renegade that didn't want them to do what they did, who was the bad guy. And anyway, so 4 is like about him and Cortana trying to stop that guy from doing what he's going to do because he's been released because they accidentally released him. And it's also about him trying to fix Cortana. Well, somehow, I can't remember exactly how, but Cortana basically does like a 180. While trying to fix her, she's basically gotten to the point to where, in her mind, the only way to save humanity and to save everyone is to completely dominate everything. Like, she's going to tell mankind, you're going to listen to me, and you're going to do what I say, or I'm going to release these horrible fucking machines, which the alien race before us, or before them, created. Very, very powerful machines. Powerful superpower weapons. And it's basically Chief now trying to save her, essentially. Like, the UNSC wants her destroyed now. And now I think this game is going to be about his journey to try to go and get her. And actually, from the campaign overview trailer, there's actually another Cortana that has been made. It's not the real Cortana, but it looks just like her, sounds just like her. Essentially, it's a program that I guess he's supposed to take to wipe Cortana's drive, like to wipe her out. Like, that program's supposed to go in, if he can get it in, and kill Cortana, essentially. So it's like you have another version of Cortana with you. So that's probably going to play some kind of weird, it's not Cortana. He doesn't even treat her like the real Cortana, but it looks like her. Basically it's a program to destroy her, essentially. So that's pretty much what you're doing.
He's in love with a computer program, is what I'm getting at here.
Not in the sense of...
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but not in the sense of, like, a physical love. It's the only... You have to... I mean, if you think about it, it's the only person... She's been with him the whole time. It's the only...
Well, he's batshit crazy, clearly.
Well, I'm sure he's dealing with some PTSD.
Well, he's nevertheless. I'm not saying he's unjustifiably batshit crazy, but he's definitely batshit crazy here.
But it's basically him trying to. The whole point has been this. I guess it's like. It's the only person, because if you think about all the other characters with Chief, it's like no one. Yeah, she's a robot, she's an AI, but she's, I don't know, she's not really human, but she's definitely sentient. But she's who's been with him. So this is essentially the story of like that connection crumbling, like that, because she's essentially dying, right? Is basically the thing, and he's trying to save her, and then all this other shit happens in between. And now she's like bad, so like it could end with him killing her, dude. I don't know how it's gonna end, honestly. Like it could come down to that.
The problem with this is so fucking
it's kind of
bloated. God, this is so bloated. All this shit and emotional baggage and all that. Like, let's get back to Gamer Fuel and Doritos, where it's just yes, sir, we'll fucking punch the Covenant to death. Like, good lord, I'm in love with a computer.
It's definitely
that says that this man can't discern the difference between a fucking AI program and an actual human being. Why didn't he just meet the woman who Cortana's programming was based
Dr.
off
Halsey.
of?
Yeah, Dr. Halsey. Well,
you go.
Yeah, but Halsey was actually kind of she was the one on Reach that George called Mom. Yeah, that's Halsey. And she's kind of the more you read in the Halo books and stuff, like the stuff I've read, man, you realize that like Halsey did some fucked up shit. But she did what she thought she had to do in the situation. Like Chief and them, they were stolen from their homes, essentially.
Yeah.
And then they made clones to take their place. Like, just because they were compatible with some serum. And it's kind of like the thing like with The Witcher and stuff. Most of the people, the kids that they gave that serum to turn them into Spartans didn't survive. Like, and they were just like, well, I mean... They did. So it's kind of like the deeper you look into the lore, it gets into like the philosophical questions of like, is the logical thing to do the right thing to do? Is it, it asks complex questions, right? As any good story is going to do.
Okay, the problem I have with Halo, and I know this is going to piss off a lot of Halo fans, my problem with Halo is like, okay, now I haven't read the book, so maybe it goes into more detail here, but the games, right? Which the games didn't really cover any of like the background of the, like if we're looking at just the games as a standalone experience, it's fine. I didn't see any issues with it. Like like Halo 1 through 3 and Reach, perfect. I didn't see any issues with them at all. Like it is what it is. But then when you start getting into like the books and all that, like I don't know if it went into more detail, but like so they're it's like, well, they did what they had to do, and like, okay, so Master Chief was the only reason we were able to beat the Covenant. But then, like in the Halo games, they said that Master Chief was like lucky. That was the thing. It's like, oh, that's why I picked you, is because you got like you're just lucky. I'm like,
that's a
couldn't
weird.
anyone have just been lucky then? Like, did it really have to be Master Chief?
That was more of a So where that comes from, and I can tell you right now, where that line, what that comes from is when Halsey met John. She had a quarter, right? And she said, you must like to. She saw, well, first off, John, they were playing King of the Hill, and she just saw this kid just beating the shit out of everybody else, pushing them down like he was winning, right? So he's a strong kid, right? Anyway, it's just like this, I guess, symbology wise. Anyway, she sees this kid. So she goes up to him. I forget what she asked him. She asked him a question, and she says, "Okay, I'll tell you what. If you do this, I'm going to give you this." Or I think he wanted the coin. She said, "Okay, I'll tell you what. If you guess what." I'm going to flip this coin up in the air. If you guess whether it's heads or tails, if you get it right, I'll give you the coin. So she flips the coin, and she's watching him, and he's looking at the coin the entire time. He's tracking it with his eyes, and just flipping it super like, and she grabs it, right? Tells him to guess. He guesses. He guesses right. Now, the one thing she wasn't sure of, and she ponders it in the book, one of two things happened. Either he was lucky, or he actually saw, he had a good enough eyesight or good enough awareness or whatever it was that made him special enough to be considered for the Spartan program. You know, the kind of kid they're looking for, these kind of anomalies, these genetic sort of super freaks already. He actually saw what it landed on. And either way, that's where that kind of comes from. That's why Cortana, who is mimicked after Halsey, says,
did she test all the other kids sitting around there? Did she do a 2 out of 3 thing, or was she just like one and done?
No, I think she does the coin to everybody, but she did it to him multiple times, and he got it right every single time. He didn't.
I'd have to
but
know.
No
I'd
other.
have to know if this is a mathematic anomaly, or it's like
no.
You'd have to be like 50 times, and I'd be like, all right, maybe he's the chosen one. But if it's like 3 times, I could probably get 2 out of 3.
I think if I'm not mistaken, was she flipped the coin the same amount of time for each kid, and none of them were got it all of them right. He was the only one that actually got it right every single time. So either he was lucky, or he actually saw what it was.
That's a big fucking gamble.
But it's just that just gives you some backstory onto why Halsey says it wasn't because, or Cortana says it wasn't because you were the fastest or the strongest or the whatever. Basically, what she's saying is she doesn't really even know why the AI doesn't know why she picked him. There was just a reason that even the AI couldn't explain. Like it was a feeling, but an AI can't have a feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those kind of things. Like kind of weird, you know. I don't know I don't have the words to put it right, but essentially that's what it boils down. Like almost like human intuition, right? But an AI can't have intuition. Like it was meant to be, meant to be. It's along that framework, essentially.
So the books and I don't know how many books there are. How far the books carry Master Chief's story? Like I don't know how far they went in. Or is the 343 stuff part of the books, or did they make that shit up?
It's part of the canon, but I didn't read any books about that specifically. The only ones I ever read was there was one in between 2 and 3, which is basically what happened to Chief in between the games 2 and 3. It's more to do with the flood. But as far as the new stuff that 343s did, I really honestly couldn't tell you if that was Bungie's original lore or not. I have no idea. I definitely didn't read any books about it before those games come, because essentially the games traditionally have always come out first, and then you build the lore. If the game gets big enough, they build out lore around it.
So Halo's not based on a book.
No.
Halo's its own thing.
It's a game. The game was first, yes. And then, if a game, just like anything else, if you create something and it gets popular in one medium, and it's popular enough, the people are going to create lore and history, and they're going to try to fill out that world.
Bungie as a studio came up with the whole thing?
I guess. I think it was Bungie, yeah.
Fuck me up the ass. Why the fuck?
Halo was originally going to be a third-person game. Did you know that? It was really, they had it as a third-person game, kind of like Gears, and then they ended up swapping it to first person.
That was a good call.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
Why then? Why would you try to continue fucking Master Chief's
That's like I
story?
said earlier when you were talking. I was like,
That's
it's just big.
just
It's big
insane.
it's big boots to fill. Whenever
Don't
you
fill
have
them.
yeah, well, that's the thing. When you have an opportunity to do your own thing, and you can do something just as great, you can take those. You can look back at what Bungie did, take the good parts, throw your spin on it, do a Spartan, use that same universe and lore. There's plenty of it, and just do your thing. But don't
If
do
I'm
it.
sitting here,
Don't do it with a beloved character necessarily. Do it with your own character.
here's what I do. I see some big boots, and I'm like, I gotta fill those boots. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna try to fill those boots. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put them boots up on my mantle, and whenever people come over to my house, I'm gonna be like, man, y'all wouldn't believe the really great motherfucker that used to wear them boots. Meanwhile, I'm gonna wear my own goddamn boots, and eventually, once you wear your own boots, your boots will become the thing of legend.
Yeah,
If you're good
exactly.
enough at what you're doing. Like, don't try to fill other people's shoes. Be your own person. 343 should have been their own studio, came up with their own story. They already had the world to put it
Yeah,
in. They
exactly.
already
They
had
have
the
the
lore and
universe.
framework.
Yeah. Yep.
Continuing Master Chief was a harebrained, and everything you just described to me with the Cortana going rampant, that, honest to God, I'm just going to be honest with you, is some dipshit storytelling. That is way too over the top. What I mean by that
It's a different
is
kind
that
of.
what I mean by that is it doesn't feel like Master Chief's story. Like, if you compare
Honestly,
that,
it's not. It seems like it's Cortana's story. Is what it seems.
well, that's the problem.
Is
like,
what it seems like, and Chief is just the vehicle, right? And Chief's obviously a big part of her story, but it does feel like Cortana's story. To me, it does. Now, maybe not
This could
everyone
have been
agrees with that,
something-
but to me, it feels like Cortana's story, and I'm just chasing her. Like, I'm trying to fix. Chief is trying to. It's just a part of it, which is. They could have done that with a new Spartan. They could have done a new Spartan story and had Chief be a part of that story.
They could have, honestly, for that, though, if Cortana is going to be the bad guy and the person you're supposed to stop, you shouldn't be playing a story where you're working this. It should have been like, you are always one step behind Master Chief while he's going and doing this. You're trying to stop him, but he's always one step ahead of you. So you're like, kind of like ODST was.
Well, that's kind of
like,
what they did with 5, but like I said, the problem with 5 was you were going back and forth. You were playing both. That doesn't make sense. You should have just played one. You should have just played Locke and been the guy who's back behind a step trying to catch up, like you're saying. Instead of doing it where you play a mission as Locke, play a mission as Chief, play a mission as Locke, while Locke's doing this, Chief's doing this. While Locke's doing this, Chief's doing this. It just doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work.
I'm going to be honest. I really wouldn't have involved Master Chief at all.
I don't.
Just let that totally
In a
go.
perfect
I don't
world,
think that was
yeah, I wouldn't have either.
There's no way to win, because if that storyline, either Master Chief is going to die, which is going to upset Halo fans, or you're going to have to, well, like, he can't really win, because then, like,
He kills Cortana.
Yeah.
And
There's
his
no
hand
win.
does it. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that he's going to kill Cortana to save her, essentially, to stop her from becoming the thing her normal self, what he knew wouldn't have wanted to be to begin with, or she's gonna. I think she's gonna die. I think this is all gonna end whether she kills herself or Chief kills her or whatever the fuck happens. I think that version that we all know from Halos 1 through 3 of Cortana is most likely going to die. I don't think it's going to have a happy ending. Honestly, I don't know if a happy ending is the right route to go at this point, in my opinion. I don't see, it would feel weird. It feels too obvious, right? Knight in shining armor saves the day. It's too tropey,
Well, the problem is you're going to run into the M. Night Shyamalan shit, where it's like, if you're just trying for twist, then everyone's going to expect your twist, so there's no good option.
Yeah.
There's no way this ends well.
They kind of put
their
their back against the wall as far as the storyline of the Halos right now.
Yeah, really shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been better. Yeah, they've definitely written themselves into a corner here. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. We'll see how it is. Hopefully they can pull it out of the fire at the last second, but I really don't know. Like I said, I do hope that whatever happens, I just hope it's satisfying. If he die, I don't think he's gonna die. I don't think that's the way you kill him. Honestly, there's no way you can give him a better send off than he already had. That's the problem. That's why I don't think he's gonna die. You can't beat 3 send off. You just can't. It can't. You could blatantly redo it, like 117 on a fucking. You don't know what. Well, you don't know what happened to him. Like, dude, you're just copying 3 at that point. You can't do that either. So either you have to kill him, you have to let him live, or you have to kill Cortana, or you have to let them both live and live happily ever after. And I think that 4th one's off the table. I just don't think it would feel cheap to me to have that happen. It would literally only be a feel. If they do that, that could happen too. Now that could be the only way you still ain't going to top 3, but that would be better. That'd be the only way that you could possibly do it to not completely piss off.
That's the cleanest way to do it.
Exactly. But the only way they let them both live, I think, is if they just are like, all right, we're just fuck it. We're in this, and we're gonna just let everyone ride off into the sunset, and just we're gonna let it be that way.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen either. I think honestly, what'll happen is he'll have to go and put the little anti-Cortana in the thing, and then like it'll be a big emotional thing, and then like, well, somebody's gonna have to stay behind and blow a bomb up or some shit. And so like I feel like the new Cortana will survive, and he'll do like a self-sacrifice thing to save the new Cortana, because he's, like you said, been treating her like she's not Cortana the whole time. And then right there at the end you'll be like, all right, then I'll be nice, and then he'll like save her and throw the capsule or some shit.
Yeah.
Then he'll blow up with the old Cortana, and that'll be the end of it. And then the new Cortana will be in the story going forward.
I just worry. I don't see how they're gonna. I don't know, dude. We'll see. I'm worried about the ending. Honestly, I'm worried about.
I would be if you were invested.
Yeah. Like that's what like people like. And if anybody watches, listen to us, and thinks we're just shitting on Halo, I'm not shitting on Halo. Like I just said, dude. I've read novels. I got comics. I can go grab one right now and put it up to the camera. I have comics of Halo. I fucking love Halo. Halo 1 was the game. When I played Combat Evolved, man, I don't know if you have a game like this or not, but when I played that game, I was like, oh, this isn't going away. This is something special. Gaming is something truly special. When I first explored that ring, I was like, I'm a gamer for life because of this game. That game had that much of an impression on me. That's when I realized at that young of an age that, like, this isn't a fad. This isn't a passing thing. Gaming's not a passing thing. This is going to be around for fucking ever. You know what I'm saying?
Games have been around for 20 years prior to that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've played other games. I played N64 games. But I'm telling you, man, there was something about Halo when I first played it. It was up until that point, I never played a game that hit me like that game hit me. Like, just the graphics, even though you go back and look at them now, they're terrible. But like at the time when I played it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Holy, like it felt real to me. Like I was like, look how awesome these graphics are, blah, blah, blah. The story, like everything about it, the campaign, I'm telling you, that was the game that made me, like, I realized, like, I already liked gaming and stuff, but I just, it was like any other normal kid, right? Oh, I'll do this for fun. But when I played that game, dude, that was a different kind of thing for me. That was that was the moment I was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And here I am at 32 years old, playing video games, talking about video games, making YouTube content about video games. Like, that was the moment I knew that this is like, it was for life. Like, I'm going to be 60-something years old, still fucking playing video games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I love Halo, because I'm not shitting on it. Like, that's why I'm so desperately wanting it to end the story and just be good. That's all I want. I just want it to be good.
Well, I hope for your sake it is.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know, man. I feel like we're a little far down the rabbit hole now. I feel like the conclusion, there's really no way it can't be, at the very best they could hope for, lackluster. It's just going to be like a meh, all right. Which, again, Master Chief and the whole Halo story deserve better than that. So, but I think we're past that. And I'm sure there's still people that are just all gung-ho for it and all that. Probably in the minority. I don't imagine there's a shitload of them running around at this point. But it's all good. It's no big deal. You could always do like I do with Star Wars and just pretend like the last 3 never happened.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like that's my canon.
That's
My
how.
canon doesn't
Well,
include the latest Star
I
Wars.
pretend like Halo 5 didn't happen. I just essentially like pretend like I didn't even play that game unless it's brought up to me.
I guess they're gonna do like Gears did with Hoppin and just have fucking Master Chief rolling around in a fucking wheelchair like Professor Xavier, just doling out advice. Yeah, like I don't know, like it's gotta end, man. It's gotta end
Yeah.
for God's sake.
I think this is. I don't see how they could go any further than I think this game's going to end it. I don't see. I hope they do. I hope they don't keep going with it. I hope they don't. Because
Well, I wasn't even gonna play the campaign, but after I talked to you, I mean, you're invested in it. I'll play through it with you. We'll play. It's co-op, right? So like.
No, there's another thing. So co-op and Forge mode won't be available until 3 months after release.
Really?
Really.
So the campaign isn't co-op.
Bullshit. So the campaign,
yeah,
no, it's gonna be co-op, but as a release date, it's gonna be single player, which is fucking that's what I said. I was
fuck?
like, it's like wait, Halo's gonna be. There's not gonna be even like one other player can't play co-op. What? Every other Halo game's ever existed has released with couch co-op.
You let me know how it turns out for you and Cortana. I guess I'll probably be on Battlefield if I'm being honest. I'll probably break down and buy that piece of shit.
We'll see.
Tyler's gonna
we'll
fucking badger me about it. I know that motherfucker he is. So.
Yeah. We'll see how it all turns out. I hope, we'll see. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. They just don't make, good games. Like, I know this sounds like the cliche thing to say, like I'm the old guy at the party thing to say, but they really don't make games like they used to make them. They really don't.
Oh, God, no. The golden age of gaming was the Xbox 360, for sure. Hands down, golden age of modern gaming. I mean, of course, you still have the classics that never go out of style, like NES and SNES and all that. Like that shit.
I was playing Metroid Super.
Castlevania.
Yeah, I was playing Metroid Super the other day on the Switch.
Yeah.
Justin, guy would let me borrow his. I got it hooked up in the living room. I was playing Metroid Super, and I'm like, dude, I've never played that game. That's a really fun. Even today, it's fun to play. It's hard as shit.
Whenever we were moving into this new house, we had to stay with Mom for that month. We didn't have no internet or nothing like that. So yeah, I played Castlevania, and I played Metroid, and what was the other one? I played one more. Oh, Mega Man. Mega Man 2 and Mega Man X. I played through them, and yeah, Metroid holds up. Like that is still a fucking solid game to play now. Like there are no faults at all. Like it's just a solid ass game.
I told you the other weekend you said you'd been sick, but Nate's been bringing over his Switch. We've been playing Metroid Dread. Have you seen Metroid Dread?
I saw a couple of clips of it. Not a whole lot.
Dude, it's fucking. If you like Metroid Super, you'll love Metroid Dread. It's badass. I played it all last weekend with. He come over. He was like, let's just put it in your Switch. I'll just start a new game. I was like, all right, cool. And he just handed me the controller. I literally played the entire time. He didn't even play. I was like, you shouldn't have handed me this fucking controller. I just sat there and played for like 4 hours. It's a lot of fun, man. I love being able. I'm thinking about getting that Switch from Gatwood. I like having that in my living room. So like, whenever I feel like just chilling in there with Amanda and the baby, or if I'm watching Harper, like I have to be in there with her. At least I can like pull that little Switch out and play something while I'm just sitting there listening to her damn simple songs and babysitting. So I think I'm going to end up buying it from him. And I really want to get they got Breath of the Wild for sale right now at Best Buy for like $40. So if I end up getting that Switch from Gatwood, I think I'm going to go get Breath of the Wild too. And,
oh, hell yeah.